Liberty Nation with Tim Donner.
In perhaps the most unconventional time of our lives, we are compelled to seek equally unconventional wisdom. And we're ready to dispense a whole lot of that today from Victor Davis Hanson, the brilliant author and columnist and among the most impressive conservative minds in America. Last week on the show, my conversation with Dr. Hanson focused on the nation's response to the virus. Was it too much, too little, about right? This week, we pick up the conversation with a discussion about those ever more powerful governors and the left exploiting the pandemic to advance a progressive agenda they could not achieve through the ballot box. You write, out of nowhere, little Napoleonic governors arise to enact decrees prohibiting gardening or strolling on an empty beach, decrees that seem to have little purpose other than to reflect that they can do so. You seem to be implying, if not downright stating, that the crisis has served as some sort of permission concept for power-hungry politicians.
Yeah, I didn't say that lightly. I'm afraid it's true because everything we know about the virus says that it's transmitted inside homes in moderate temperatures and close proximity to people. So when the weather warms up and people can get out and get, sunshine, healthy environment, go out on the beach and, distance themselves, that would be a positive. But there's no scientific justification that you would prevent that. And we're seeing it again and again with a lot. We see it in New York where people were infected and sent right into the worst place in the world, nursing homes where the virus exploded. And yet governors and mayors and unelected officials have said things about masks or you must wear them, you must not wear them, you must wear them sometimes. So we're getting all of these unelected people who are issuing these edicts. You cannot say things that are unscientific. Two doctors in Kern County give a very informative, scientific-based appraisal of the virus. It's not the orthodox appraisal, and they're taken off YouTube, or they're censored by the American Academy of Emergency Room Doctors. So at this point, it's getting a little scary, and I think these states need to open up and follow the Swedish model and develop herd mentality, protect the most vulnerable. And we can do that without going into a depression. But time is running very, very short.
Well, indeed, Sweden has basically done what you'd expect in a free country, which is to pass along clear guidelines to their people and then let them decide for themselves. And by the way, last I looked, Sweden's death rate and infection rate was just about sort of the middle of the pack for Western Europe. So there's no big spike in this one country where they decided to go against orthodoxy. Our guest here on Liberty Nation Radio is the great Victor Davis Hanson. Now, I want to touch on this culture of experts that's been unleashed during this crisis. It seems like the left wants doctors and scientists to make all the public policy decisions during the crisis instead of the president of the United States, of course. You write, quote, experts with all sorts of PhDs, MDs, and JDs after their names lecture from authority about what we must right now do or else on the principle that they have a scientific or technocratic prerogative to impress critics of their modeling or their demand that we shut down a $22 trillion economy for 18 months if need be. We all remember that chilling discussion about the live possibility of over 2 million deaths in this country from the virus. What are we to make of these hysterical predictions that were way off, that it's because we did the right things that they're way off, or because it was a grand overreaction by the U.S. and the world?
Yeah, I think that, well, part of it is that they all wanted to be pessimistic because then they could always say that they were right if things were bad. And then if they were wrong, they could turn around and say, well, we were wrong, only we wanted to be wrong because we scared everybody. They made the necessary adjustments. So it's, in technicality, as a technicality, we're wrong, but we were right in our motivations, and that's what they've been doing.
Now, the media beatdown on Trump is quite predictable, given their derangement about him in these last years. But you write about or even predict something very profound beyond the media. You say we are witnessing the fading moments of baby boomer generation authority. Expand on that if you would.
Well, I mean, the baby boomers told us that they were, when they took over, that good example is Barack Obama's administration. They were going to be based on science, and they were not going to have any yokalism, and they were going to be international, and we're going to be citizens of the world. And every one of those assertions is proven absolutely wrong. People, as I said, with degrees at the World Health Organization, the CDC, these modelers at Imperial, they were all wrong. And common sense was forgotten. Expertise and practical experience were forgotten. We were told China was a model, that it was a citizen of the world. And we found out they lied, and corrupted the World Health Organization and got hundreds of thousands killed to protect either their brand or their reputation, or in panic. We don't quite know the full story yet. And we were told that Massachusetts and New York, these were models of mass transit and how to live with little energy and density living. And they turned out to be petri dishes in a way that Texas or Arkansas or rural California was not. So a lot of the things that they told us were going to be our futures, we're all going to be like Italians in high rises, and we're all going to jump on the subway, and we're all going to be guided by unelected elites and bureaucracy. That didn't work. And so I think that it's been a teacher. It's taught us things that we otherwise wouldn't have known. I think nobody now believes the world is flat, and that's a good thing, and that China is a major player and should be a major player in world commerce and world governance. And I just don't think anybody's going to believe any of that stuff anymore.
If they do after this crisis, they will forever, I think it's safe to say. Dr. Hanson, Victor Davis Hanson, thanks so much for joining us again here on Liberty Nation Radio.
Thank you.